Hi, I'm Randy Wooden, and welcome to another in our Edge Library series, talking with young professionals and about recent grads and how to conduct informational interviewing and what are some questions that you might want to ask someone. I jotted those down and I'm going to share those with you now. Understand there's no 100% foolproof method of conducting an informational interview. The key here is you have somebody who will give you the time of day. I think you need to be upfront with them and explain your situation briefly, which is I'm a recent grad. I don't have 100% clear direction in terms of where I'd like to go. I think I have some skills that might play across industry lines, maybe functional areas. And so what I wanted to do is to seek out people, well, like you, and I appreciate you taking some time. I'd like to ask you some questions, a little bit about maybe your industry and about your job specifically and how you like it and that sort of thing. And hopefully, as I talk to people, I'll be able to kind of narrow things down as far as some areas I'd like to pursue and maybe also rule some things out. And so with that in mind, could I talk to you for a few minutes? So hopefully they've said yes. And so now they're saying, how can I help you? Now, with the internet, you can do a little bit of homework, and I think you need to mention up front that in preparation for our meeting, I went online. If I knew the company that you work for, I looked up the company, tried to learn a little bit about what they do and that sort of thing. So hopefully you come in prepared. Let's assume that you've done a little bit of work, and even if you haven't, you can fake it when you really get down to it. So one of the first things you want to do is ask the person a little bit about their industry. Try to ask open-ended questions. Don't say things like, do you like your industry? Have you been in your industry for a long time? Those are closed-ended questions, yes or no. Ask them open-ended questions. Things like, tell me about your industry. Tell me how you got started in your field. What was it that attracted you to that field? That sort of thing. Ask a little bit about the industry's growth, its stability, if there is such a thing. Maybe some changes that this person has seen over the years involved in the industry. I used to work in radio, and when I started in radio, we played albums. We used carts. They looked like 8-tracks, actually. And over time, that progressed. I worked with large reel-to-reel tapes. I've worked with CDs, and I got out of the industry just as we were moving to everything being on hard drives. All computer, satellite, that sort of thing. So even in my industry, back in the day, I've seen a number of changes that have taken place. So that kind of information is good to have from somebody who's in a field who can talk about things that have happened and hopefully some things that they can foresee in the future. It may give you a sense for an understanding of how the industry has evolved, and again, good talking points information when you sit down with an employer. It shows you've done some homework. I think another question, too, that's fair to ask, especially if you feel as though you're hitting it off pretty well with this person, and that is, if you had to do it over again, would you? If so, why? Why not? What are some trade-offs? What are some things you wish maybe you could have done that you didn't do earlier on in this industry? Maybe a different job change, maybe moving to a different part of the country, a different company, that sort of thing. Trying to get a sense for the ability to move within the industry. I could cite examples from times as a recruiter when I would recruit an individual and some of the questions they'd have. I'll give you one specific one that dealt quite a bit with the challenge of trying to get someone to relocate from a large city to a small city. We were doing some recruiting for a company that supplied people to the automotive industry, and there was an automotive plant down in the southeastern U.S. It was in a very, very small town away from pretty much anywhere. And we were trying to recruit people out of Detroit to move down there. Well, a lot of times we'd hear, hey, you know what? If I go down to, whether I forget if it's Georgia or Mississippi, Louisiana, if I go down there and I lose my job, where am I going to go? Valid point. Those are the types of things that you might want to check on if you're interested in pursuing a certain company. Look at where else can I go if this falls apart? What's my plan B? You might also ask what sort of entry-level opportunities tend to exist in this company where you're talking to the person. Do they typically hire people with experience coming from a competitor? A great example of that is the restaurant business, and I know it's not the ideal target for most people coming out of school, but if you think back to when you got your first job or your second job and you would walk into a restaurant, try to be a waiter, what do they tell you? They say, we don't hire waiters unless they have prior experience. And so to get that experience, you've got to go work for a smaller mom and pop, maybe a smaller restaurant that doesn't have those higher qualifications on its workers. So you've got to understand how the game is played. Am I likely to be able to step in, or do I need to go bide my time somewhere else for a while before then I can look to move up and into the company? Might also ask about internship possibilities. Again, it's experience. Even though you may have a college degree, it's still experience even if you're not being paid. And many times, especially if the economy is slow, an opportunity to get your foot in the door is your primary objective. The fact or not as to whether you're getting paid, yeah, you'd like to get paid, so would I. Reality is, you know what? It's experience. And sometimes you just got to go deal with it and put the time in. You might also ask about what is a realistic income potential for somebody in this field. And let's say after 2, 3, 4, and 5 years, the opportunity for growth, promotion, that sort of thing. What does the future look like? Those are all valid questions and questions that are in play, and you can certainly ask those of an employer. And lastly, what other resources could this person steer you to? What maybe other people, maybe there is online content you hadn't seen, that sort of thing. Now, this individual knows that you're on a job hunt. If they know of an opening or they know of the appropriate people in an organization, 9 times out of 10 they'll volunteer that, hey, you need to go talk to John Doe. This person takes care of all recent college grad hiring, all management trainee, that sort of thing. But they may not know about openings. They may not even have a person designated to handle that. So I think it's fair to ask, who could you steer me to? So those are all good questions. And beyond that, you can go the networking route and ask if you were starting your career over again, who would be some people you would speak with, given who you know now. Get those names and you're off and running. So those are some things you can do for informational interviewing. It's a great way to make a friend, make an acquaintance. It's also a great way to gain knowledge about a company, an industry, even a location. Just good information to have, and it'll make you look very well prepared when you actually get that time in your interview. That's going to wrap up this segment for young professionals. My name is Randy Wooden. Thanks for watching yet another segment in our Edge Library series.